Hi, this is Gary from Southeast Texas. Going to take a tour of the kind of tropical plants and things of that nature. First, we're going to talk about this is a loquat. Yeah, I probably should have put that one out. Anyway, it's one of the name varieties. It has been smaller. We've got two big trees here. It is starting to bloom. We're going to see some other bigger trees here in a minute, but it puts on its blooms now. As long as it don't get below between 28 and 26 degrees, it'll make fruit in the spring, early spring. So that's why I kind of think it's being a tropical fruit. It can stand colder temperatures, but you know, it can stand temperatures down lower teens, but those blooms won't survive that. Like I say, I have put one in a container for that reason, so I can bring it in and out when it gets really cold. The first year I planted, I made a crop because it didn't get very cold, and ever since then, next 3 or 4 years, on the other tree I had that I planted in the ground, it was really cold, so we haven't made a crop on them. Over here is a Malabar spinach. It's Okinawa spinach. Getting a little ragged. It did get frostbit. Once we get a freeze, it'll kill the tops of it, but it will come back from the roots, or it has for me the last couple of years. We've gotten down in the low teens, and it survived. I'll probably take some cuttings. You can take the cuttings. I'll talk fast again. You can take cuttings of this, stick it in the ground, and it'll root out really easy. I've even done it in the summertime when it was hot. It would look pitiful for about really pitiful, wilted for about a week, and then it pops up and starts growing because it's got roots on it. So here's the fall potatoes that I planted. They're doing okay. I almost wished that either frost would have killed them or not. It didn't kill them, so now I'm still going to kind of push it and see what they make. I don't expect much out of it, but I had the pot there and really not a whole lot to grow in it, so I decided to go that route with it. This is my carrot bed. Carrots here, you can plant them in the wintertime or in the fall, and they'll make in early spring. If you look real close, right here's the seedlings that are coming up. You do have to keep this wet. You want to keep it moist the whole time. We've had a lot of rainfall, so they've stayed wet. Now they're starting to germinate. If you're getting bad germination, it's one of two things. Either three things. Either seeds are old, you plant them too deep, and you don't have to plant these very deep at all, or that you didn't keep them wet or moist. They don't need to be wet, need to be moist the whole time. You may have to water them one or two times a day if it's got some hot weather, hot sunny weather. We've actually been fairly wet. We've had cloudy weather, so I think I've only had to water them one time, but it stayed wet on top of it, and we had cooler temperatures. If I had planted when I should have a month or so earlier, I would have had to do a lot more water, but I was in and out and couldn't water them every day, so that's why I waited till now to plant them. The only danger is these are going to be pretty tender. If we get a really cold spell early on, it can kill them. So you want to get them up as tall as you can and grow as tall as you can, or you can also plant them in late winter, early spring. These are my, if you haven't been on the channel, this is Trilite Apiarium tree, and it's doing okay. That there is a flat wonder, I think, tree. It makes the round donate shaped peaches. This here is the cherry of the Rio Grande. It's got the nice little bark on it that flakes off. It looks pretty. It can take a lot of cold temperatures. It got down to around 12 degrees, maybe 15 degrees here by the house. It stayed in this pot, and it survived the winter last year when we had the big Christmas freeze. So really impressed with its cold tolerance. It is kind of considered more of a tropical plant though. But definitely if you're up in the Austin area even, I think that'd be a plant that you might want to try to put it in the ground. When it suffers a lot of winter damage like that though, it doesn't put out any fruit the next year, which a lot of stuff is that way. Over here is my raised bed, and I planted some buckwheat, and it came up and it died, and now it's got more seeds coming up. That's not a bad thing about it. My experience with buckwheat, it does tend to reseed itself. It is kind of weedy. I could pull them up and it wouldn't be a problem. I did plant over a month ago. I did plant some garlic in here. None of it's come up. So, you know, normally I'm not concerned about it, but I've done it for 3 years straight and it's worked every time. And the first time I videotape it, I'm not sure it's going to work. If it does, I'll tell you. If it don't, you probably just won't see it, or I'll plant some more garlic. I am really surprised. I figured it'd be coming up. It should have. Don't really know why. I bought the garlic at HEB. I've done that in the past. It's always worked. I don't know why. So I just keep it at that. Here's some more ginger that I have grew in a pot. I'm going to let it continue to grow until frost knocks it back. The main crop I harvested, did it on another video. But this I planted it late, just see how much it makes as I let it go. This is the Lowquat tree that I bought this year. That's a Yahola Lowquat. And if you kind of come in here, you can see the blooms on it. This one here is older blooms, and it should put on the fruit right behind that. Got some white stuff on it. It looks like it's okay. And I've kept it in a pot. I am going to pot it up to a bigger pot, and kind of show back down here to the low part. One thing you want to be careful of that I forgot to do, you need to take these things off, because they will help start strangling your tree. When you come, they'll be like this. So I thought I'd done it, but don't like there's any real long-term damage. But if you leave them on there, they will tend to choke your plant down. That would have, no harm, no foul so far. But if I left it on there, it could have done that. This here is my Tropic Snow peach tree. It suffered a lot of damage on it. Don't really know exactly why, but it does have some of these strong suckers coming out from it. It is from the original plant above the graft, and I'm hoping that these here is above the graft too. Well, we'll find. Well, that's dead anyway. It don't matter. But these here are above the graft, so it's still going to be good. Still produce fruit. These have been in the ground probably 6-7 years. You don't always get a whole lot of life when you're hot, humid conditions on the peach trees here in southeast Texas, but it has maybe fruit every year, so we'll see if it makes it this year or not. Coming up over here, I still got my peppers. That's variegated peppers for the Thai peppers. I'll be taking some seeds off of them if I remember to. And see, I don't know how genetically it happens or not. This comes back genetically, or if you get 1 out of 4, or genetics can get complicated. I did take genetics in college, so it can be, if it's a single gene and it takes recessive gene, it should come back okay. If it needs a cross dominance, half of them should come back okay. If it needs 2 dominant ones, then it's going to have to only be about 25%. So probably is either going to be 25, 75, or 50% if it's the one gene that does it. If it's more complicated than that, you won't get that done either. Not a whole lot up over here. This is my pomegranate tree that I put in a pot, and it's really taken off. It was a little short thing beginning of the year, so it's done well in a container situation. Over here, another cold hardy citrus. This is the Jiu-Jitsu, the sweet lemon, and it's got several on it. That's why the tree's not very big. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd year from root cutting. I think this is the 2nd full year from root cuttings. So if you can get it on trifoliate rootstock, I've got a big tree back here. I may show you here in a minute if we do it that long. It looks really well. It's done really well. I'm just using these as a backup, so I don't really care the fact that it's dwarfing the tree a little bit. Still get some fruit off of it, but if it's my only tree, I'd have taken the fruit off of it. Citrus, it does tend to dwarf the plant if you leave the fruit on it, and the first fruits a lot of times aren't that good. So, should you take the fruit off of one? Yeah. Peaches aren't that way. You're not going to hurt the peach tree as long as that tree can support the fruit load that it's got on it. You're not going to dwarf a peach, you're not going to dwarf a plum. But apples are really bad. If you let them set that first year, you can dwarf the tree for the rest of its life. So you can make it run out on you. Same thing, citrus, they won't run out on you. They just won't grow very good. You may not get very good quality. You know, you're delaying your harvest of good tasting fruit. This is Maamba. It's a kin to the other tree, the cherry of the Rio Grande. It has not produced any fruit, so in the 5 years that I've had it, yeah, I'm getting frustrated with it. I did grow some greens. I put them in the trays. I did not remember to, well, I didn't put the names on them. I did got tags to show different kinds, but we'll see what they are when they grow up. And I have to thin them out because they're pretty close. Another one of my ginger plants is planted a little bit later. I'm a little bit earlier, so it's growing a little bit more ginger. I think it's going to do pretty good. But I'm going to go as long as I can on just see what it does. And you can stay here. But this is the other sweet lemon tree, lemonade tree. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fruits on it. Again, it probably would have been a lot bigger if I would have taken the fruits off. But I'm getting, you know, here I'm getting my 15 fruits. So for me, in my situation, it's a good thing. And now we'll go over to the other side. Here's my nectarine tree. It's a low chill nectarine tree. You'd think I'd look at these before I start filming. It's a smooth zest one. It was made by, or bred by A&M. I want to show you on this, if you're going to buy a peach tree or peach tree, a plum tree, and you're thinking, is it going to bloom this year? Okay, it's already determined whether or not it's going to bloom or not for this next spring. And if you look at this here, when you see it, where it's got a bud here, a bud here, and a bud here, those cluster of 3 buds there. Can you see it up there?
Yeah.
That's going to be a bloom here, a bloom there, and a leaf on that one. Same thing on this one up here. You got a bloom, and a leaf. This one right here just has 1 bud, 1 big bud. That's just going to produce leaves. So if you're going to go to the store and all they have is just single buds here, it's not going to bloom that year. But if you go to the store and they've got, like this here, it's got several, 3 groups of 3, it's going to bloom that year. So that's just one easy way. If you want it to bloom out and it's got the buds hadn't bloomed out, that's the way to tell. And I always thought it was kind of interesting, and you kind of see, hey, I do have some blooms on it. That's, you know, if you get the right chill hours and stuff, it does have the ability to bloom. If that tree all has that single bud on it, it's not going to bloom that year, and that's already been determined. That's determined earlier in the year. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's not determined in the spring. It's determined that sometime in the summer to fall. And let's go over here. This is my Barbie Lowquat tree. It's a bigger tree that I have. It's got a lot of buds on it, a lot of blooms coming out. There's a fresh bloom there. The bees have been hitting these pretty good earlier. We get some cold weather, so that's probably not good for me as far as the newer blooms. But this is what they'll look like. If you kind of come around here, you see it. It's covered in blooms this year. Hopefully we have a mild winter. Not supposed to, but you know, a lot of things you never can tell that it happens. Long range forecasts, according to one weatherman, are total trash because they don't know. But you know, if they did, they could make a lot of money. So hopefully that we'll make some. It does. This is one I have tasted. It does have kind of an apricot taste to it. It has a really good taste. It has a really big seed in it too. But you know, this is the reason I bought the other ones. So it's done well for me as far as producing. Here's some of the stuff it tried to produce last year. The fruit on it, I should have taken it off, but I didn't. But it just got cold freezing and they froze. You'll swing around here. This is my lychee tree. I've got another smaller tree over there that I will be repotting on it. It's looking good. It's about the right size that I like because it got a lot of areas to produce fruits on. So we'll see. It didn't make some last year, this previous year. This is Lowquat Tree. No, this is Longan Tree. I'll get my names here correct someday. It's starting to put out some growth. It's looking good. When it does make, it makes a lot better than what the lychee trees made. A lot bigger crop on it, and it's done well for me. Like I say, when it gets below 30, I'm bringing them in the garage, and so I have to go in and out of the garage. These here, this is the oldest bushes I have out here. All these are at least 7-8 years old of the blueberry bushes on it. They don't look real great, but they, you know, if we don't get too cold weather, they're already starting to want to put out some buds there for blooms. They'll bloom early some years, you know, they bloom a little later. But every year's kind of a, you know, sometimes we get a good crop, sometimes we don't. These are older trees, so that's why you see a lot of dead on them. I'll try to keep them alive. Probably need to do a care video on these. It is kind of hard to grow blueberries in a container if you have any type of well water, or if the area around you is because the pH tends to want to creep up on you, and they have to have an acidic soil to be able to survive. This here is a Mandarin tree. If you start picking those, it does have some it does taste really well, very seedy. But I go more for taste than I do for seeds, but it has produced a lot of fruit on it. This is my Mandarin Lemon. This Mandarin Lemon, again, it's 7-8 years old. Small tree, but it produces a lot of fruit. So if you like a lemon tree, Myers is good if you're going to put one outside and you can leave it outside for most of the winter. It is not good if you have to bring it inside and try to grow it inside. It will lose its leaves. It's one of the harder ones to grow inside of the lemon. So just a word of caution, they're finicky if they're with the light, don't like the light changing, don't like moving around, but they're kind of a workhorse for down here in southeast Texas as far as production on lemons. This here's my Lowquat tree. Now, I'm going to say Lowquat every one of them. The Pomelo tree, they've ripened up. Sun's going to start eating it pretty soon. In fact, these are ready to consume. So they're it's made good. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fruits on this tree here. The tree itself doesn't look very impressive, but it does put out a lot of fruit on it. Another one of this is the Go Nugget Lowquat tree. It's a little bit earlier on, so it's got the actual blooms on it. And you know, I'm hoping with this cooler weather they go ahead and pollinate. Bees were hitting it a day or so ago, so but we'll just have to find out about that. And we'll go up over here. This is Chandler Pomelo, which is the same pomelo as that one over there, but it only has 2 fruits on it. But notice how much bigger they are. So it is starting to lean because of fruit, so we're going to take this fruit off pretty soon. Try to get the tree straightened back up. And then of course we got all of our fig trees. And the son that really likes fig trees moved on me. So that's, you know, fig trees are easy. I did do a video on doing cuttings on fig trees. They're very easy to do. So if you ever want to try to get into it, that's one of the things that's nice to do. And the last other mandarin I have, it actually tastes better than the other one. It didn't put on many fruit, but if you notice, there are bigger fruit. Now it is a different variety, so that has something to do with it also. But if you want to grow bigger fruit on the mandarins, you do have to thin them out some. I didn't thin this one either, and they're just now starting to ripen. When you go into something like citrus or peaches, one thing to consider when you're buying those peach trees or those citrus trees, try to make your harvest window bigger. In other words, don't buy a peach tree that all your peaches come off in June. Try to get some peaches that come off in May, June, and even July. Same thing with these. With the one over there in October, it has some fruit that was ready to eat. This here is going to be closer to December when they're ready to eat. You can probably eat them now, it'll be okay, but that stretches your window out. So try to get an early, mid, and late season on your citrus so you can stretch that harvest window out. And let's go take a quick look at the in-ground gardening. There's not a whole lot to see out there, but there's a little bit. Okay, we're back in the in-ground garden, or where I got the raised beds here. Planting my fall tomatoes. They did get kind of a little bit of a late start because the fire ants started eating the foliage on it and set them back. They put on a lot of tomatoes right now. All of them are small. Kind of look down through there. You know, are they going to make it? I doubt it. But that's the same problem I've had with them in the past. I am going to try a different variety next year, so maybe they'll set the fruit a little bit earlier. But I can get them to go up. I get them up at this side, and they just kind of sit there for a long time. This here is a peach tree that came up from seed. You're not supposed to be up there, chickens. This here is the Primark Freedom, or the Primark Freedom blackberries that's come up. They have a very thick canes to them, very healthy canes, and they do make early. Have pretty good taste to them. Some of them have a kind of aftertaste to them. I mean, maybe a little bit bitter taste. But anyway, the other one's over here. This is my picture. See, my chickens are very disrespectful. They don't even want. They want to try to stay in this tree. And this is my sweet lemon tree. It's a really big tree. It's done really well for me. It survived all the cold weather that we've had. So I'm been impressed with it. It is on trifoliate rootstock. This here is my Ponca blackberries. And kind of see how they're growing. This is the original. This is the original ones I planted, and they took over this bed here, so they will spread some. These here, I need to tie them back up. This is the Sweetie Pie variety. They've made some good, strong deals. I just got to tie them back up. We'll come back up over here. This is my blood orange that I've got growing. It's looking pretty and doing well. There's the orange Satsuma that begins with a Z, Z-I something. Not sure how to pronounce it. This one here is a Miho. It's not looking quite as good. Put a little bit of fertilizer to it. Hopefully I don't get a flusher growth during the winter time. This was Mr. Mac, and it made really good the year before last. It's got a good flavor to it. It survived the winter better than the other three. All four of these here were planted at the same time, so that's just how much better it's grown, and it's done well. So I've been pleased with it. Over here, that's a peach tree that hadn't done very good. This is a Chickasaw plum that I got growing. That's to get a pollinator for this one here. I believe is the Guthrie plum. And it's a cross between a Chickasaw or it's an improved Chickasaw. I don't know if it's got any Japanese blood in it, but it's a really good hardy plum that does well here. I've not done good with plums, but that one has made me fruit. This one here is the Odom plum. One reason you tell it's the Odom, it's just got all these little root sprouts coming up all over it. I need to cut back. So if anybody's local and wants to come by and get them root sprouts, I've got some for them. You'd also have to get a root sprout of the Chickasaw because they have to be cross-pollinated. That's one reason you don't see them in the stores, is because if you just get one of them and don't have another one anywhere around, they're not going to produce their fruit. They'll flower out, they'll look pretty, they're not going to set any fruit. So if you get one, or if you think about getting a Chickasaw, or you can plant and get the Odom or the Guthrie, just remember you got to have two of them. The Odom and the Guthrie do cross-pollinate a little bit, so you will get a lighter fruit set, which may not be all bad, because you'll get bigger fruits if they have smaller fruit sets. So that's, I kind of think I might should just went with the Odom and the Guthrie, but I did got Chickasaw. They do have a higher fruit set because of that. Up over here, it's a long video.
Yeah.
He's having to hold my camera for it. The green you're seeing here is the daikon radishes that I threw out here and started growing, and we'll go across the other side and see more of it on the other side. Okay, this is my N33 Naval Orange. Makes very big oranges. It's fairly hard to peel, but it is really a sweet orange. We really like the flavor to it. It is not winter hardy. This is on trifoliate rootstock, which is a better rootstock for cold hardiness. We had to do a lot to keep this one alive through the cold weather when we got down in the low teens. I put 4 T-posts around it. I put some tarp, the landscape fabric around it. I filled it up with leaves and grass, and you see all this down here is what was left over from it. Threw all that stuff on the top of it, threw a blanket over the top, wet it down, and it did suffer some damage, but it survived. So, but if you're going to have it in 8B, you're going to have to do some winter protection on it fairly often, because it just can't take the cold temperatures. But so far, it's done well for us. Another Lowquat tree. Yeah, I said it right that time. Gold Nugget Lowquat. I got 2 of those, and the last Lowquat tree I got down here, and just to kind of give you the idea of the size. And like I say, they're still blooming, doing well, and you know, I do like the Lowquats, as you can tell. If you look down here, you can see my Bermuda grass is growing really well. The drought didn't hurt it a bit. So I ain't being sarcastic. I don't like Bermuda grass in my garden. I do like it out there, but not in my garden. And then last thing, just take a look at some of the daikon radishes, and that way you come back and see what it looks like later. I scattered them all through here and all up through there. And the daikon is the long radish. They get that long, that big around. And then I've still got some pear trees and some peach trees and stuff I didn't show because they're not really doing anything. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you stayed to the end, thanks for watching.